Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining our December California Brokers Business Accelerator on contingency of purchase and contingency of sales forms, hosted by Michelle Beeson, but also featuring Thomas Bullock. I want to quickly remind you of a wonderful product from SharpTC, our in-house transaction coordinators. SharpTC will not only be your transaction coordinator through your entire transaction from start to finish, but when your transaction closes, your client will receive a closing gift box directly from you, but you don't have to lift a finger. SharpTC does all the work. Each transaction done with SharpTC is only $400, but you can get your first transaction done for $250. Another quick reminder, tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST is our December national webinar with Sarah from Paperless Agent. She's an expert social media manager who specializes in marketing listings, and she'll be teaching us a ton of awesome things, ranging from setting up your accounts the right way to engaging with your connections. I'm going to quickly paste in the chat the link to register in case you do want to stop by and join us tomorrow. And lastly, today's webinar is sponsored by our preferred lender, Movement Mortgage. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Remember, if you have any questions during this presentation, you can type them in the chat box on your Zoom control panel, and we'll do a Q&A at the end of this presentation. But now I'm going to pass it over to our brokers, starting with Michelle. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Let me see if I can just stop sharing my screen.
Stop sharing. Okay. I think you did. Nope.
I did?
Yeah, no, you stopped sharing. It looked like on my end, but hold on, guys. This might take a minute. We've never actually done this. It says I cannot share the screen still while you're sharing.
Let me see.
You might need to make me a host, Carly. I'm thinking.
Oh, let me see. Let me just do that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Okay, it says I'm the host now. Oh my gosh, hold on.
We need to figure out a better plan for this.
I know we do. Okay, there we go. Okay, guys. Good morning, everyone. Just so you know, our class has changed a little bit, and I'll tell you why. We do create these subjects a bit in advance, and Tom and I and Ryan all discussed the fact that we have a lot of questions on the COP form. It was very confusing, and it was hard to figure out. You had to break it down yourself. It was very confusing, but the good news, which I can share, so we don't actually need to do a class on the form, because starting on the 21st, the form has been completely redone. So what I've got here is a draft red line version that I'm just going to show you guys, but I'll tell you, they have taken all the ambiguity out of the form. It is about as clear as day. They doubled the size of the form. So you can see now that the form is 2 pages long as opposed to 1. And all of the red is what they're changing effective the 21st. Now, mind you, this is a draft form, so it's always subject to change up until the release date. But from what I've gotten from the forms department at Car Legal, is they're pretty sure this is the final draft. So instead of being confusing, it is now about as clear as day. All you need to do is read, explain, and check boxes. It's all separated, so it's clear what contingencies you're talking about. You can see all of the red verbiage is there's a lot. So it actually gives specific reasons that your seller can cancel and specific reasons as to why your buyer can cancel. So super excited about this change. I wanted to share it with you guys, and I'll show you where you can find the red line version to study on your own. But again, there's no tutoring I can give you on the form. It's that simple. This form change has actually warranted some changes. Hold on, let me see if I can get to this. Some changes on the other farms. So on the contingency removal, we now have this added. So this is now part of your contingency removal form, that the COP can be removed and the close of escrow of their property can be removed. So the change in the COP has warranted a change in the contingency removal form, as well as in the notice to perform. You can see what they've added as far as contingencies, which is great because we're back to seeing a lot of contingencies. I feel like they kind of disappeared for a while where nobody was contingent, but now we're all dealing with a lot of contingencies. We know the difficulties that contingencies can bring to contracts. So we have some great forms. They've all been changed. I'm going to show you where to find these forms. The seller's purchase of replacement property is not changing. So again, this form has always been really simple. I'm not going to necessarily talk to the form, but talk to some circumstances. It's come up a few times with my agents in either escrows they're in or escrows that they've, or escrows they're in or sellers that they've got where the sellers really are contingent, but they're not doing a contingency for whatever reason of selling their replacement home. And then they're fine. It's bringing on issues afterwards. A good example on this is that, say for instance, they have to close on a replacement home and something happens where, the buyer closes late, but there's no contingency. Guess what? The seller has to move out even though their home's not ready, if that's what the contract calls for. So while this form does not need, explanation because it is simple, I just want to make sure you guys take into consideration whether or not your seller should be contingent. It's a seller's market right now. So you can be contingent. And, they hire us to help them with these things. They don't understand them. So you want to encourage, if there's any way, shape, or form that your sellers have a contingency, should have a contingency, that you are highly recommending that you put the contingency in there. And if they don't, you're going to want to issue, acting against notice broker's advice letters. So again, guys, if there should be a contingency, put it in there. You can do it now. It's not going to affect the sale. It's very unlikely going to affect the sale, all of that. So I think that's what we have to talk about on the forums. Very short this morning because, again, luckily Car Legal has announced that the forms are changing, or Car has announced the forms are changing. They've simplified them. I'm going to show you guys where to find them. Oh, also, before I move on, I almost forgot to do this. When you issue a notice to perform, this is something that I have come across a couple times in the last couple weeks. You can see right here where there's this little paragraph. It talks about that you either have to do it within 2 days and it has a box and you can change the date. Well, you can't arbitrarily change that date. I want to make sure you guys understand it is in the purchase contract, the purchase agreement, that the amount of time you have to give. So you find that over here. Let me get back down to it. Sorry, I thought I was already there, but you know how that goes. Right here, 14C. No. That's the wrong one. Gosh, sorry. I was prepared. Did I pass it, Tom?
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I apologize, guys, for not being... No, I didn't pass it, right? No. There is a paragraph, which I'm working on finding, that talks about, there we go. It's right there, clear as day. 14C, no, that's the same thing. Gosh. Sorry, guys. Holy moly, where the hell is it? Should have written it down. Oh, there we go. It is on that page. It's E. You see it here, 14E, talks about your notice to buyer or seller to perform. The default is 2 days. So you cannot change 2 days when you issue a notice to perform unless it's changed in here or in a counteroffer. So you do need to pay attention to this paragraph, guys, because a buyer's agent could throw in 3 days or 4 days or 5 days in there, and you might miss it. So the default is 2 days unless it's changed on here or in a counteroffer. So you as a listing agent could shorten that to 1 day, and then your notice to perform is 1 day if they agree, but you can't arbitrarily change the form on the notice to perform. It cannot just be changed according to what your seller wants at the time or your buyer wants at the time. So I just want to make sure that's clear. And then before I turn it over to Tom, I want to show you where to find. It's important, guys, to keep up on the contract form changes. So the way you're going to find that is you're going to go to car.org and you're going to go under your transaction center. And you can see right here, it says standard forms. So when you click on that, if you're not logged in, it's going to require you log in. And right here on this page, form revisions and new form releases. You can go on that and look at all of the months and see if anything's coming up. We've got December. So here we have new forms that are being released that are required, which are the home fire hardening disclosure and advisory. That's being required, I believe as of January 1st, but it's coming out on the 21st of this month. And also the fair housing and discrimination advisory, you also are supposed to be using in your forms. And then these are the forms that are being revised. So guys, make it a habit at the beginning of the month to log into CAR and find out what forms are being changed or what forms are being released, because it is your responsibility to know these forms. You know, our primary job is to facilitate contracts according to their terms. And we want to make sure you guys are keeping up to date with that stuff, and this is where to find it. So I'd love it if you guys do a, you know, at the beginning of the month, just jump onto CAR and look and see what's being changed. You know, you'll be steps above everybody else if you just make it a habit to do that and check on that on a regular basis. So with that, I'm done. Tom, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I do want to add, first of all, I just want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Gosh, Christmas is almost just over a week away. And you know, certainly we've all been, through our real estate industry, been through a lot this year, like everyone else. So I just want to wish you all a peaceful and safe holiday season. Couple of things, you know, that Michelle brought up that I want to kind of cover today, and it's something that I'm seeing more and more and more of, unfortunately, and that is the legal aspect of our business. Now, keep in mind one thing: COVID-19 guidelines and restrictions are still in place. Good news is the vaccine is starting to be released. There is a timetable for it, and you can look into your local paper to find out what category you may be in. Healthcare workers are first, essential workers are second, senior citizens and young babies, I think, are third, and then it goes on from there. Also keep in mind, as I understand it, it's a two-shot system. So when it is your turn to get the shot, you'll get your shot one, and then there's a three-week waiting period before you get shot two. In the meantime, the governor's controlling this through the governor's mandates. So you need to be sure you stay on top of the governor mandates. Now, we'll be here to help you with that, and we're certainly here to answer any questions for you. But also through the car.org, you'll find any new updates just by turning on to that website and following what they're telling you there. So again, just follow the mandates. As currently, I had a question the other day: can we do open houses now? No, we can't do open houses now. It's still, per the mandate, not allowed. So again, when a question comes up, call your broker, talk to your broker about it, shoot them an email, whatever you need to do, text us, just to get the straight story, because you don't want to be in violation of the mandate, particularly when it comes to the coronavirus. The next thing I really kind of wanted to cover here today, and unfortunately, I'm seeing more and more of it. As we get into 2021, and all of you, I hope by now have your business plan all put together on how you're going to proceed in 2021 with your business building and your income-driven actions. make sure you I'm finding that because of the pandemic, because of the quarantines, people are a lot edgy, a lot more edgy when it comes to going after complaints, filing lawsuits. And so you need to make sure as a real estate agent that you're doing everything you can, not only to protect your client, but as importantly, protect yourself. Keep logs, keep phone logs, keep email logs, text logs. Make sure all of that information goes into the SkySlope file for that transaction. I have a case going on right now where the actual escrow closed actually back in 2019, late summer 2019. Now, there was a mediation case on it, and now there's a lawsuit. Now, the lawsuit is a little unique from the point of view that it's not the buyer and or seller coming after the brokerages. It's the listing brokerage, not us, coming after us. We had the buyer. Now, the overall issue was a clear non-disclosure issue by the seller and the listing agent. So we're in the clear, and fortunately, our agent kept really good records, and we're going through that process right now of attorneys talking to each other. But again, you need to protect yourself, because when you get into a scenario with a conflict of any type, you're going to find people saying all kinds of things, whether it's true or not. They're going to make accusations. And the best way to protect yourself is to have a written documentation. Phone logs work equally as well. So do texts, so do emails that will cover you and your actions. In the case I just mentioned, our agent and the buyer had no idea it was a structural issue situation. The buyer or the seller and the seller's agent had complete knowledge of it. And it was found out quite by accident, because obviously the seller didn't disclose it. They left paperwork behind. So when the buyers moved in, they noticed the paperwork, they started going through it, and they realized there was a crack slab and compaction issue going on that was not disclosed to them. We believe the other brokerage is coming at us from the point of view is that they're hoping that our E&O will cover them in their non-disclosure issue. So, again, people come at each other for the dumbest and silliest of reasons. Protect yourself. I know I've said this before, but in today's world, I just can't emphasize it enough, because I feel conflict type calls every day. So does Michelle, so does Ryan. And so you just need to make sure you're protecting yourself in your files. And that's the best way to do it. You don't have to come at it from the point of view of being defensive. You can be casual about it. You can be nice about it, but make sure, when you see something that may not seem exactly right, you just ask a simple question. Whatever that response is from whoever it's coming, make sure you document it, because you just don't know. That's what I have for right now. I'm going to be in next month's Broker Accelerator. We're going to be covering a little more detail on the legal aspect of our business and everything else, which I think in today's world, we just need to be on top of. Staying on top of your forms, like Michelle has stated, is vitally important. Keeping the update. Your zip forms automatically updates, but read those forms when you notice an update, because you need to know how to explain them, because you're going to get questions. Again, if you read them and there's a part of it you don't quite understand, give your broker a call. That's what we're here for. That's what I have for now, Michelle and Carly. I'm open to questions.
Mhm.
It does look like we have a few questions here. The first is somebody asking if you can email them the copy of the form. However, Michelle, you did mention where the agents can find the form, correct?
Correct. You can find it very simply on the car page. You have access to that red line form. And then, like I said, on the 21st, the form will be in your zip form in its final version. It won't include the red line. So if you want a copy of the red line so you can see what the differences are, you want to log into car.org. go under standard forms under transaction heading, and you can get to it. It's just under the December link.
Okay, awesome. And the second question, Michelle, this seems to be directed towards you. Will you kindly explain the SFLS form, or is it self-explanatory?
Well, it is pretty self-explanatory. It's not a form that we require, by the way, but where it's important to use the form is when you have a difference between what, say, for instance, if the seller's telling you the square footage is different than what the assessor is saying, you can note that on the form. The form just has a little more verbiage to protect you, that is basically giving the responsibility, if you're the listing agent, that is basically giving you the responsibility, giving the responsibility to the buyer to confirm, because we have, I would say, only use the form, and Tom, you can correct me if you disagree, because Tom and I have never actually discussed this, but I think that you should only use the form if there's a discrepancy, you know, somewhere where somewhere when you know there was a addition that was permitted but wasn't added to the assessor's square footage, something like that. So the verbiage is there to basically explain to the buyer, we've got a discrepancy, or here's what we're being told. It's your responsibility to confirm it. That form is the square footage and lot size form. Roberta, I see your question. So.
Awesome. So lastly, we have a question on if you guys would be open to doing a class on contingencies, specifically contingency offers.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I mean, we've got our subject for next month. So I think Ryan is the one after Tom, right? So
Yeah.
we could discuss that with Ryan and see if he's open to doing that on his CBVA. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, awesome. That looks like the end of the questions so far, but of course, agents, you know, if you have any questions moving forward, you can contact your brokers. They're always there for you. But I wanted to say thank you to our brokers for all of your wonderful insight, and a special thank you to Michelle for organizing today's topic and presentation. So thanks again to everyone for joining us today, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye, guys.